There have been huge advancements in the barbering world just within the past 10 years. However, within the last year, one company has come out with a set of clippers and trimmers that have been pretty substantial and pretty popular. And we're going to talk about those right now. Now, it's Babyliss. I pronounce it Babyliss Pro. I don't know how to correctly say it. I've talked to a couple people that say Babyliss. I'm not 100% sure. What do you say? And if you could leave it down below and write it out phonetically how you say it. The people at Babyliss, if you are somehow watching this, if you could leave a comment down below to please let us know how to pronounce the name of your company. I think this is a huge problem in the barbering world. But, of course, I am going to say Babyliss Pro because that's how I've been saying it for a while. So, Babyliss Pro has come out with 2 sets of clippers and trimmers that I think have been pretty substantial. And those are the FX3 and the LoPro Series. I've been using the FX3 series, the clipper and trimmer, for about 5 months now. I got it just after the Connecticut Barber Expo when they released it. And I've been using the Lowepro for about a month and a half now. So I've been using them nonstop, and I have a pretty good idea of what the pros and cons are, in my opinion. And I'm going to talk about that right now with you. So first, let's talk clippers in the series of clippers. So we're going to go over the Lowepro first. It got its name Lowepro because of the top is a very low profile on top, hence Lowepro. The top's also really cool. It's got a solid metal cover on it. It feels extremely sturdy on it. So if you were to drop it or anything like that, please try not to drop it. But if you were, it would definitely survive a fall. Definitely something on a carry-on or something would work. It is cordless, lithium-ion battery, which is always great. The plugs are exactly the same if you have any other Babyliss models. It's the same exact plug that goes into the trimmers and the clippers. So you don't have to worry about if you're getting a new one or anything like that. You can just use the old ones and it plugs right in. So this comes stock with a graphite wedge blade. There are barbers out there that talk about the benefit of having a graphite wedge blade. To me, it looks very similar just to a fade blade that they have at Babyliss that comes stock on some of their clippers. I know that Sophie Pock, if you've heard of her, she's a very talented barber. Big fan of hers too. She talks about the wedge blade a lot and goes into big detail about it. To me personally, I don't notice any difference between a wedge blade and a fade blade, but it does come stock with a titanium DLC, which is diamond-like carbon, which is fantastic because it runs a lot cooler, wedge blade on it. Also, a cool thing about this blade is that you can replace this with a fade blade or a taper blade or anything. It is just a stock Babyliss 2-screw blade. 5 locking position arm, which is pretty standard on all the Babyliss clippers that they have right now. I have no issues with it. It locks in pretty sturdy. It is metal, which I like. I know some people have been doing plastic, which is a pain because it just feels like it's going to break, but this taper arm is really solid. In terms of weight, it doesn't feel too heavy. It does feel solid, which is a good thing because it does have that metal housing on top, but it doesn't feel too heavy. Also, a cool thing about the top that I forgot to mention is it does have a little divot on the top that fits your thumb perfectly with the grip on the back. It just feels like it just fits right in there. So that is the Lowepro clipper by Babyliss. So next we're going to move on to the next clipper, which is the FX3. Now this is a next step up from the V2 Volair that they made a while ago. I don't know when that came out, but that I got that about 2 years ago, and I was using it. It was okay. It was different, which you have to get used to. And I will say that about this right off the bat is that it is different. Different doesn't mean bad though. It is just a different clipper. It's something that you're probably not used to if you've been barbering for a while with a normal taper arm on the side, whether that's locking or not. This is pretty different. So before we get into those main big outer differences, let me get into the nitty gritty, is that this has a lithium polymer battery, which I think I'm saying that polymer. I'm gonna write it up here anyway, lithium polymer. Stock on the FX3 is a DLC nickel ultra thin fade blade. It's a pretty cool blade. It runs flush against the clipper itself, and it is detachable, which is awesome. So in case you drop it or you need to buy a new one or something like that, you can just take it off and then it just pops right back in, which is awesome. However, you cannot use the regular guards that you have with any other clipper that usually are universal, except for like the Andis ones that just fit on the Andis blades. This one needs its specific guards, which it does come with. It comes with a half, 1, 1.5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It does have 5 locking positions on the top, so the taper arm is not on the side, the taper arm is on top, which is pretty cool because you don't have to worry about it ever pushing, because this thing does lock, which you can hear it locking as I'm pushing it into place. And in order to unlock it, you have to click the button on top. Now, this does come with some faults that I don't care for. Going up, it's great, you can just slide it up, but when going back down, you kind of have to have a lot of strength and find which number you're going for, and just making sure that you have it, and then hopefully it locks into place. As opposed to with a regular taper arm, you can just fly it up, fly it down, hear the clicks, and you're good. This is not easy to use. It's different, doesn't mean it's bad, it's just different. But the benefit of that is that you know this taper arm isn't going to move, it's going to lock into place as long as you don't hit that button. Another cool feature that this has is it does have 2 speeds on it, and it also has a battery indicator light on it. There are 4 bars on top, and it'll start letting you know where it's at: 3/4, halfway, a quarter, and then it's going to blink when it's running out of battery. And another cool little feature that it has is a hanging hook, which is awesome on it because you don't have to worry about it taking up too much space on your station. You can just hang it up on that and you're good to go. And that's the FX3 clipper from Babyliss. Moving on to the trimmers that go along with each of the corresponding clippers that they made. Now, first we're going to do the Lowepro like we did with the clipper. Same thing, low profile, metal housing on top, which is great. Thumb rest divot on the top, awesome, just fits like a glove in your hand. For the most part, this is just like the, I guess I would say, predecessor, which is the Gold FX or Rose Gold FX, Black FX, whichever one you want to look at. It's pretty much like that. Same type of blade that you can use on a Gold FX. This comes stock with the DLC 2.0 deep tooth blade, which I've actually been using a lot more recently. I just find that it cuts a lot better. I don't know why. I put them on all of mine. A major issue that I have with this trimmer that I don't like is the sound. Now, I'm not sure if I just got mine was a little bit different, but I oiled it, I did everything, I changed the blade on it, but still I have a bit of a grinding loud sound. With that being said, it still cuts very well, but that sound is just a little bit annoying. Overall, it's a pretty solid trimmer, just like its predecessor. And the charging, just like the Lowepro clipper, is the same exact charging port as the trimmer and clipper that they've had before with Babyliss. So if you have one of the clipper trimmers like the Gold FX or anything, it's the same exact charging. Now moving on to the FX3, this they changed a bunch of stuff on as opposed to the FX Lowepro. So this came out before the Lowepro, but what's really cool about this one is it is lightweight. It's a lot more like the Andis Slimline, which is cool, with a plastic housing on it, red like the Ferrari red, battery indicator, which is the same, hanging hook, which is very cool. The blade on it is a specific blade that goes with this. I tried to switch it out for a FX Gold FX blade, just like the DLC 2.0 or anything like that. It doesn't work. So you have to get the FX3 blades to go with this. And that is a bit of a benefit because the blade itself is a lot wider and it does have a different angle on the clipper. So the clipper is a little bit more angled up, so you can actually see a little bit more and get into harder to reach places, which is a huge benefit of this. One thing I will say about this trimmer, that if you do get it or if you already have it, it is sharp. I mean, this thing, you need to be very, very careful what you're doing with this because you could nick somebody's neck, leave some irritation on their neck, which is not something you want to do. Overall, this is a very, very good trimmer. One thing I didn't mention about the clipper, which I will mention the trimmer if you made it this far, hopefully, is that both of them have different charging ports than all the other Babyliss equipment. So this has its own charger, which is just a round center negative, center positive, don't quote me on that. And the other one has its own, the clipper has its own charging cord as well. So that's a little bit of a negative as well, but overall, not a bad trimmer. So that is the Lowepro and FX3 by Babyliss. So my thing is, which ones should you get if you're going to get them? In my opinion, when it comes to a clipper, I would go more towards the Babyliss Lowepro FX. Nothing against the FX3, it's a great clipper, but that taper arm really does kind of annoy me a little bit on that, and I do prefer the taper arm on this. I would switch out the graphite blade for just a regular fade blade, which I'd like, but the overall housing unit and the turning it on, the power switch on the side, it just fits a lot better in the hand. It feels very, very nice in the hand. So I would go with that. Trimmer-wise, I would go with the FX3. Although it's super, super sharp, it's really a very, very good trimmer. The fact that the blade's a little bit wider and the angle is a little bit steeper, you get better cuts on everything. Better lines on the back of the neck, better lines on beards and everything. Overall, better trimmer, I think. So I would mix and match. I would try the Lowepro and the FX3 trimmer and the Lowepro clipper if I were you. That's just my opinion. If you have a different opinion and you have something that you like, please, by all means, leave a comment down below. If you do leave a comment, we will try to get back to you as soon as we can. I promise we're working hard on that. And thank you so, so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you aren't already subscribed, please subscribe to our channel. We're doing a lot more with reviews on this, also some lifestyle stuff about having beards and different types of haircuts. We also just started a new series on our channel called Just the Tip Tuesdays with Jared Gelbert, who is the owner of the Dapper Den Barbershop. So thank you all for watching so much, and please stay tuned for more videos.